stuff in Blender, like C++ API, and how you have Python API that looks is quite good, but also tends to kind of break a little more than what Maya happens. So in terms of a developer supporting a tool for a long time, and if I imagine if I want to do like a Blender gear or big gear or something like that, how much cost will be to maintain such a tool?
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Today I have with me Miquel Campos. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, perfect. He's a lead developer and I believe the founder, right, of mGear. Like, did you start it?
No,
No?
I'm
Okay.
not. It was Jeremy Passerin who started gear for Softimmesh. We were working together in a couple of studios, and was the second one when he developed that. He was my supervisor then, and he did the one for Softimmesh XSI, that was gear. So, and then he left and started working at Blur Studio as rigging
Oh,
soup
okay.
at Blur for many years, and he decided to develop something else there that was more according with the already established pipeline there. So, and between these two jobs, he developed a little alpha for the mGear. That was the Maya version. So M comes for Maya Gear,
Oh,
but
okay.
it never passed this alpha. It was still exists on his GitHub repository if you curious about. So I took over maybe, I think it was 2012, 2013 when I asked him, "Oh, do you mind if I take over the project?" And I asked him to change the license because it was a different license, the one he did, and I asked to change it to MIT, so he agreed. And yeah, the rest is just history, I guess. I've
That's
been
cool, man. Yeah,
I've been like 11 years, something like that, right now.
that's insane. I mean, it's an honor to have you on. I think mGear is probably what the most well-known rigging system,
Thank you.
like open source, off the. I hate the term off the shelf because it kind of diminishes a little bit, but it's like a full-fledged you know production rigging system. So it's really cool. Um, so yeah, that's been your main thing. That's kind of just taken over your career basically since you started working with it.
Yes. So the history was like, I was working at Montreal back then, and I was Softimmesh exercise for
Yeah,
life until the no more Softimmesh. So,
yeah.
and I got a job to supervise a feature film there in Montreal. Not like a super high budget film. Was called Snow Time, I think was the English title. Was based in a movie from Quebec, old movie. Anyway, so that was in Maya. So I started like, okay, what I have accessible in Maya. I didn't want to develop anything by myself, to be honest. I was just looking. I was using a Gear Softimmesh for many years, and
Mhm.
then I had to move forward, use Maya, and so I tried different rigging systems that are available with them, and none of the rigging systems that I found out, bought or open source, was like covering my needs or what I expected. So decided, okay, Jeremy has this little alpha. I'm gonna ask if I can take over and so on. And yeah, the first that was, yeah, probably, yeah, 2012, 13, where yeah, the first production that was done with mGear was that one. uh, and then I in other studios I've been working, I just kept using it and developing, but more like as my tool, but keeping it open source. And at some point it took some traction, and yeah, I became independent just to focus on the tool. So that,
That's
long
killer,
story
man.
short,
Yeah. So you're in Japan right now or Tokyo?
yes, Tokyo.
That's crazy. So what are you doing out there? Do you live out? Did you move out there? Like, do you live out there, or you're just working on a
My wife
project?
is Japanese, so we were in Montreal back then, and I love Montreal. I miss the people there. Fantastic uh, place, but the winters, oh my God. I cannot resist more winters there. I'm from
Yeah.
Spain. I'm just too harsh for me.
Yeah.
I miss you guys, but I will visit in summer one day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we get some pretty harsh winters. I'm in North Idaho, so I'm over by Vancouver, kind of. Not maybe
Oh,
like
so
5 or 6 hours from
wasn't sure where you
Vancouver.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, Montreal. It's and Vancouver. I never visit Vancouver, but I heard it's cloudy, rainy, but not that hard winter cold.
yeah,
And
they
even
don't get hit that bad.
I think it's Montreal because it's between these two rivers, and you have all this flat area. And when it comes a wind chill,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's under 20, but feels under 30. It's like
Yeah.
wow, it's an experience.
Right on, man. So I've been reading up a little bit on ueGear, and I was
Oh,
wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of like your ideas behind, or like what even sparked the development of it, and then kind of like your vision or like what your kind of plan is for it.
okay. So, what sparked the uh, the idea was basically a blink from Helge in my podcast. Say, hey, we are doing this, and a few years back, and he did like yeah, squint, I think, and it was kind of a joke, but not really. So
Uh-huh.
I kept thinking on that, and yeah, why not? And it's taking very long to. I mean, the control rig is. I mean, now it's stable, but they keep adding new features, new stuff. And by the way, I have to make a shout out to Simon. Simon Anderson is the engineer that is helping me with this project. He's basically lifting all the heavy weight on this project
Oh,
right
killer.
now. Yeah, so we are working together on this project. It's been, I mean, since I I think it's almost 2 years now. Not with Simon. Simon's like a year working with him, but before with other engineers and myself trying to start this. And but it's taking long. But hopefully we'll be ready by the end of the year. Don't don't take my my word for granted. But
Right
that's
on.
um. So returning to your question, like what we want to do there. So the first phase, it's the 1.0 release where we are bridging the gap between Maya, that is the main software used right now on almost all the studios. I mean, Blender is catching up, but still, like Maya, it's the one, and I think it's gonna be like that for many places for a long time. And we want to bridge that. So we are rigging in Maya, and we serialize all this data. So you have what we call the G Nexus. That is a fancy name that we put for a big JSON file with all the
Okay.
information. And we aim to regenerate the rig inside control rig.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not rig portability exactly, but um, more like um, you can recreate the rig in different diseases. That's phase one. We also added some tools to help, especially linear content creation. Like, for instance, we can sync sequences. We had a tool to do like FX exports and animation exports that will find your skeleton available, things like that. So you have, it's not like pipeline replacement, but like something to start, or unless for studios or people doesn't have any pipeline available, so you have something so you can sync your static meshes with Maya. So if you are animating in Maya, for instance, you can have a representation of your layout on Maya, and if you move something on Unreal, it will sync. It's not like the sync thing that
Hmm.
Autodesk did for this one that you can sync to rigs. That it's not exactly, it can be complementary to that, but they're not exactly that. So that's phase one. And then phase two will be full authoring in Unreal, so you don't need Maya anymore. So, or but again, it depends of uh,
Yeah.
your pipeline or your expectations. But yeah, that's the general pipeline. Sorry, roadmap of what we want to do.
That's pretty killer. Have you spent much time with the control rig stuff in Unreal, like yourself? Have you gotten pretty into
I
it,
try
or
to, not as much as I wish, to be honest,
yeah,
but I try to. Yeah, it's also hard to keep up with all the new stuff.
it's hard, man. There's so many things. There
Yeah,
is.
yeah, but it's super nice. And the thing is, some people ask me if we are planning to do the round trip back, so you can rig on control rig and send it back to Maya. And no, we are not planning that. I don't think, to be honest, there will be much because like space for that kind of pipeline, and because our resources are very limited, so we decided that it's only, unless the rig is only one way direction. Also, like you can do a lot of stuff in control rig that is not uh, like
Right. To
you can
emulate that in
export it
Maya
back.
would be really hard to do, right?
Yeah,
It just works a little
definitely.
bit differently.
And also the idea, it's like eventually will be just a standalone system, so means you don't in Maya, but right now the pipeline is in Maya. So if you do the, and like animators do animation in Maya, then bring it to Unreal, they for games or linear content, so they have this traverse or something with all the library of animation, and they want to adjust something. Maybe they, instead of re-exporting animation, maybe they just can throw it on a sequencer, edit the animation there, and stay on Unreal, so that you don't need to go back and forward that much. Again, depends of the pipeline approach that you want to take there.
Yeah, I saw that like in 5.4 they have a lot of animation like pipeline tools, like things like a pose library, like
Mm,
mirror,
yeah.
all different sorts of tools that animators find useful in Maya. And I kind of, it seems like they're just moving that direction to kind of
Mm.
make authoring characters in Maya somewhat obsolete, maybe. I don't know. I
I don't think, but yeah, it depends of your pipeline. For instance, I don't. For instance, if you have uh, your pipeline on Unreal only, I mean, you also in games, and I think many studios will stay in Unreal, like for everything. That's because why you gonna pay licenses, and if you
mhm.
can have all you need as, but it also depends of the animators if they get used to Unreal, because it's slightly different, but they're getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know like on the character modeling side, like there's some tools in there. I know some people are developing some things for that, but still like there's nothing at the
Mm.
moment I feel that, you just get into, let's say Maya or even Blender, like you mentioned, um,
Yeah.
just creating characters from scratch. Like that's
Yeah.
seems to be
No,
the nothing that
I don't.
replaces that at the moment.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, the modeling and like look depth and all this, you have a lot of options right now. Um, for me, it's more like thinking about rigging and animation. That's my expertise or my zone of work, my area work. Yeah. But yeah, the others, I don't know. I imagine many people. I heard some like game studios, they are starting like Blender for modeling. It's very usual right now to find it in many places already.
Yeah, does it have like more of like a ZBrush type workflow within? I've never used it, so I don't. I'm like an old school Maya guy, so.
we yeah, I didn't use it that much, to be honest. I barely use it. Um, I'm still waiting a little bit from like from the waiting from the what, how you say that in English, like looking from the fence
Uh-huh. Yeah,
what
kind
they
of
do
keep it.
with,
Yeah,
like
it's perfect.
what they are doing with this animation like uh, project that they have. They are revamping all the animation system inside Blender, and it's supposedly it's gonna finish next year.
Hmm.
So I'm waiting there. Still few things that I have few concerns on like jumping to develop stuff in Blender, like the famous no C++ API, and how like you have the Python API that looks is quite good, but also tends to kind of break a little more than what Maya happens. So in terms of a developer supporting a tool for a long time, And if I imagine if I want to do like a blender gear or big gear or something like that, um, how much cost will be to maintain such a tool?
Sure.
It's not like just it's free and free for all. It's, I mean, like development costs a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was going to ask you about that. Like, running an open source tool set, you have a lot of, I would imagine, studios that are adopting mGear, let's say, and then they
Mhm.
might run into a problem, and then they're like, "Help us now!" Like, we're under the deadline. Like,
N-
please, does
n-
that happen a lot? Do people?
No,
No.
not that much. From time to time, I mean, obviously the way I do, like for the people who don't know, I have my company that is called MCS Gear. That basically is my name. So Maya Gear, Miquel Campos Gear,
Got it.
and so on. So it's kind of um like this like kind of suffix. And by the way, gear was Jeremy idea, and he told me it means like and well, it's get everything animation and rigging. So that's
Oh, killer! I didn't know
this
that.
yeah. To be honest, it was after a few years developing gear that he told me that.
I was just like, oh, it's a gear, like, rigging's like making things mesh together
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
work.
exactly. It's kind of like
That's funny.
so. Um, Anyway, so the way I have the I maintain the open source project. The community is also uh, doing contributions from time to time. At this volunteer, and then I have my company that basically offer these paid services like support, custom development, pipeline integration, so on for using mGear, obviously. So this is how I get funding. So part of my time go to development that goes for the community, and also like Simon and other people helping me from time to time. I can pay some salaries. Uh,
That's cool.
so it costs money, like really costs money, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So that's how basically it's working right now, the development. And yeah, we are not taking donations. Actually, we there is a reference, Medics du Monde. If you want to make a donation, you can do it to this nonprofit.
What's the
And
nonprofit called?
it's Medics du Monde. It's doctor. It's similar to Doctors Without Borders, but
Okay,
it's a French one, and it's because Jeremy knows some people there that are like it's a trustworthy
sure.
organization from France, but it's basically the same. It's doctors from France that go to uh, places where it's needed to help people. So that's
That's
where,
killer.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was also a Jeremy's idea, that one, and I kept it like I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. So,
That's great, man.
um, so sorry, I lost the track of the
No, yeah, we were talking about like the support and all that stuff, or like if that becomes like a
yeah,
nightmare or anything, or if
yeah.
it's just
So we have the forum that it's free for all, and um, also Chris Lasage is helping quite a lot. I mean, he's the manager basically of the forum, and I'm show up from time to time to reply some questions and say, yeah, I logged the bug, I will fix it as soon as possible. But
sure.
Chris is taking care of that. And so back to your question, like these studios, sometimes they contact, uh, but usually the context I have is more like we want to implement them here on our pipeline, or we have this project and so on. So I prepare the pipeline, prepare the like character templates, like normally I do 1, 2 characters, prepare all the scripts, all the workflow, and do the training for the rigging team, or prepare everything so they can outsource to another studios. And normally then I do like a support, like kind of like few months or years, depending on the project, where I just keep open a channel and have like weekly meetings, things like that. So whatever is needed. So sometimes one week I don't have much work, so I can develop stuff. Next
Yeah.
week I'm super busy because there are a couple of clients with emergencies.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's how. But yeah, like really coming like very in a huge emergency. No, not really. I guess
that's
maybe
great.
that's a good thing.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, that would suck to have to deal with that madness, but that's cool. It's not the case. I mean, it's a super solid tool. Um, oh, I wanted to ask you too, like, uh, it seems like a lot of other rigging systems just kind of use like the native Maya nodes and math
Mm,
nodes and things to build their rigs, but mGear uses a lot of custom solvers,
yeah.
plugins. Was that always the case when you took over from
Yes.
Jeremy back in the day, or is that something that was kind
No,
of always?
we yeah, yeah, we always had these solvers. The so back, and I don't know, Jeremy had the previously to gear, he has another system, and I cannot recall that. Maybe Jeremy, if you look in this, maybe you can comment that on the comments on this. I think, but um, so we were working on this studio in Barcelona, where was Helge Mathy, that now is lead engineer at Control Rig, and myself. We were there doing some crazy stuff with soft image, with ice, and we. I mean, Helge developed some custom solvers to speed performance on soft image. So then it came Jeremy and started developing gear, and I think it took part of these solvers and it implemented more functionalities or polished the things like behavioral wise. So, and I'm not sure like exactly how much was, or after I took over, I did also like a bunch of solvers, and yeah, also Jasha did one of the latest solvers we were using for like constraints, like a matrix constraints thing. And so the solver itself, it gives more performance. And when we move everything to Maya, the solvers were converted to Maya, like same features. It's kind of funny, but you, I mean, it's close. Very, if you
Ah,
check the code, you will see it's almost one to one. Well, at the beginning it was one to one. Now it's changed a little bit,
sure.
and it performs really well. It helps a lot. If you when you before on DG was a big gain, but funny enough, when everything moved to parallel, it was even bigger.
Hmm.
So yeah, the rigs are quite fast thanks to that. And
Yeah, and the
that's it.
builds are pretty fast too. Like just running through the build, that's maybe
Yeah, but it can get longer. Like it depends on the, but yeah,
sure.
but, yeah, and yeah, that's the reason. So it's faster and simpler because one node does what in Maya Vanilla will take like maybe many hundreds of nodes in some
Sure.
situations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like even like just attaching things to curves or things like that, or you have to have a node for each transform or whatever it might be, like the
Yes.
lip rig and things like that that you guys have. So were you always into C++ like development, or did you learn
No.
that early on, or how did you get into
I
that?
learned it in the hard way, and to be honest, I do the minimum thing on C++. So every time I need to redo something, it's like kind of like check my old books.
Yeah, how
Ask
do you do
Google it.
this?
You know, like it's not my strong thing.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's a little bit slower to iterate because you have to compile everything and then test it and do that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, normally it's I will say 99%, except the solvers, everything is Python.
Yeah, that's cool. Was it like a little bit of a nightmare to switch from Python 2.7 to 3?
Um, Not really. Um, right. I mean, was more like just a patience to refactor everything and to
Hmm.
we add some like checkers there and there to some imports or things like that. We are using also 6 to make it compatible with both, so we keep still compatible with all Maya versions. But yeah, now it's a bit different because we are removing, or we have removed PyMail dependency, and that's a big thing. That's a
Oh
big.
yeah, it's huge because Maya 2024 and they don't even offer to install PyMill anymore, right? You have to kind of
There
install it on your
is.
own.
I found someone did like an update for PyMail, so it's but it's a fork somewhere on GitHub. I didn't try it, and in this case, ex-colleague from another company, Kim Sol, he helped me to create this, basically mainly create this new wrapper that we call PyMaya. So basically, the idea was that we remove PyMail, we change the import from pymail.core import as PM. Now it's from or import mGear.pymaya as PM. So it's one to one.
Oh,
So we
crazy.
didn't
Okay.
refactor.
I'll have to check that out.
It's very, like, we did it only for what we need, and there are some things that there is some caveats there and there. I mean, it's not, but the refactoring, it's minimal, but still we are. In this case, I'm testing everything and debugging everything right now. That is that it took like a long time to do, and that's the reason because we didn't release for Maya 2025 yet.
Okay.
And by site 6, that's even, at least for me, it's taking more time, the by site part, than
I wasn't even aware of that. Like I'm out of the loop on that one. PySide 6.
yeah, I don't know why they changed it. What's going, but yeah, they changed it to Maya 2025, so we need to support. So, and again, support both. It's not like
Yeah.
you need to, but thanks again to another open source library, the qtip.py from Marcus. I think everybody's using that library.
Oh yeah, that's like the main one that goes between all the different Qt and PySide and all the different.
But still, you need to figure out like some, because they removed some of the stuff, like the OpenGL, some of the libraries or objects that you can get, it's not there anymore. Things, even with this compatibility layer, there's some things that doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
hard code kind of check it's this, is that, and yeah.
Man, there's so many features inside mGear, like so many like cool little things like you might get into a setting or is there anything that you're super proud of that like was really hard to solve or maybe it's something that maybe people don't even they might take for granted like oh this thing just works this way but it was like a huge thing for you to overcome or maybe some of the developers on your team.
To be honest, um I don't know. I all I see is it's all the defects and errors and things that I would like to fix and I don't have the time, or
Yeah.
so it's not like I'm especially proud of anything I do.
Oh man, that's super
Uh,
cool.
but I think, if in terms of things that I like, that and it's something that it's completely opposite to any other rigging system in Maya, is the term, like, how we handle the joints. It's because we handle that at the end, and that was kind of inheritance from Softimage, where Softimage, the were not joint based, was bond based, slightly different, but there was just, if you want to use that, because any transform in Softimage will do to skin and to do
I
everything.
see. Right.
In Maya you can do it, but you need, for skinning, you need the joints, and then when you can just replace connections and it will work the same way. But for so the first iteration of mGear, we have the just joints, where the transform is just like a point cloud of joints, completely disconnected.
Uh-huh.
It was on the alpha from Jeremy, and then I did all the part where the system where the joints are connected and everything, and it does a lot of like under the hood, there's a lot of stuff for you. So the option to make the point cloud that basically parenting the joints to whatever is needed on the transform still exists. You can use it, and that gives you an extra performance. If you don't need the joint connection, you just want speed, you can do that. But in many pipelines, you need the joint connections and for driving stuff like RBF, corrective lane shapes, things like that. So all this is at the end, and it handles for you all the orientations, everything. I don't know how
Hands
to orient
off.
joints in Maya. I forgot completely. And it's all created procedurally, so the user doesn't need to bother. Like, it's always this tutorial how to orient joints in Maya. There are a ton
Yeah,
of
that
that.
sucks. Yeah.
Pages and pages of information how to orient as it. You don't need to care about that. And you can do a lot of stuff because, for instance, on game pipelines, sometimes you have your joint structure, but for some reason you have your animations, you have all there. You want to change your joint structure because you have a prop that needs to be on the root joint instead of attached to here on the shoulder because it was on the jacket for any like game logic thing. So you can rebuild the rig, changing the joint connections, but keeping the behavior exactly the same. So because it's completely kind of detached, it's not exactly detached, but you can do these kind of changes without, in a traditional pipeline, it will be a bit more like, oof, I need to change that. So I need to do a lot of work. Around here, it's kind of clicks and you have that. So that's a big advantage. And I use that quite a lot in production because sometimes you don't know what you need until you try it and try and error. So probably that's the most cool thing I think we have on mGear. Well, shifter, that is a rigging system, and but also some people don't like it because it's against traditional Maya wisdom, and you don't have probably the precision sometimes. So if you want to join because it's procedural, so I mean, there
Right.
are
So
components that allows you to do it, but it's kind of like pros and cons.
sure. I wanted to ask you, are there some like templated kind of custom steps, maybe for like saving out skins or exporting and, lots of maybe common things that people would need to do in a mGear build?
Good question. Well, they are not templates per se, but there is some examples on the GitHub page from the tutorials where I
Okay.
share all these like pre-made custom steps, so you can take it as a starting point. Also, like mGear, it's a framework. It means that it's not like Shifter is a rigging system, and it's mainly what you think when you think about mGear. But there
Sure.
are other systems in place, and everything is on this kind of like kind of design where almost all the tools you can serialize or export the configuration, so you can rebuild it quickly once you do it once, so you don't need to click always over and over.
Sure.
And you have this execution part, so so we separate the UI from the behavior. So if you check any of the models, you probably will find IOs or like functions that will help you to import and export. So basically, you just need to import it on the custom step and do it.
Yep.
That's now. I have on the roadmap to. I want to. To change the system of the custom steps more refined one. Even the UI that it's a bit raw, let's say, right now. So I want to have some that are, like you said, like just drag and drop, and instead of have just a script, it's maybe a little widget where import the skin and you point and click the skin, and so that's kind of a template. So you have a kind of
Sure, that would be
easier
awesome.
time to do it. Yeah, and it's on the. It's been there in the roadmap for quite a long time. And I don't want to promise much, but yeah, it's coming soon after all the refactor finish. It's probably one of the next steps, changing a lot of how custom steps work and adding LODs or layering for the rigging system, so you can have different targets on the same guide, things like that. Also, like
Nice.
the other day talking with Jasha gave me a really nice idea that it was like to have parts of the guide that are kind of referenced or things like that. So kind of like, for instance, if you have a biped archetype, but so the archetype it's shared with all the bipeds, and only you add on top of this archetype. So whatever you change on the archetype, it will split. Things like that. I mean, we have these all cool ideas, but it takes time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it all takes time for sure. I
And
saw in the rig builder there's like options for publish, things like that. Um,
correct, yeah.
so you could I've never used publish before.
It's
Is Yeah, can you talk about like how that works together with that?
well, basically a publish. It's a publishing tool, so it can do a lot of stuff. But the part that I use is the validators part. That is just quality control. Uh, so yeah, this basically it's a little models of plugins that validate the stuff. Like, are the controls on reset pose? Does any control
Yeah.
have keyframes? It's, for instance, if it's this, you can test anything. Like, it's the face should be wall oriented, but maybe you should feel maybe it's off, or calculating that the center, like sometimes when you do the rig, maybe by mistake you move a little bit the spine to the
Hmm.
side, so it's not exactly in the center. So you can check that, and when you build, it will create a report for you. Say, oh, you don't have this correct. If you use the UI from the Pively slide UI, you can also add actions, so you can fix it on the spot. The way that we are implemented in the rig builder is just to inform you, and you have a checkbox that it's safe or not. So if you don't pass
Yeah.
the checkers don't save. And rig builder is something that it's usable now, but it's kind of like, I will say, 20% of the features that we want to have there.
Okay.
So it's very, very the minimum for what we want. At my previous company at Anima, we developed another rig builder that connects to the render farm. It does a lot more than just. It use also publish to do the validation, but also like do like a range of motion test for facials,
Oh,
body,
that's
sends to
cool.
render farm, do the render with different cameras. We have another system called Aquarium there that you can check the videos there. So you have the automatized test plus the visual test, because some tests are hard just to automatize. And well, maybe now with AI and vision, like kind of thing, they can detect, oh, the skin is bad or things like that, or it looks bad on the render. But for the moment, it's not yet. And also, like, yeah, connecting, like, for instance, render farms, things like that. We want to add thing, like, first we wanted to make it that works standalone, so you need to open Maya, and because the guide, it's the rig build representation, so we want to add functions that edit the guide on the fly or modify guides at bulk without opening Maya, things like that. So you can,
Oh, that'd be crazy.
things like that. And all this, it's, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I feel like I'm
No, that's why you're on, man. I really enjoy it. People want to hear
yeah.
this stuff. That's really cool.
So one of the things I want point on mGear that try to be clear, it's like mGear, the starting point, I try to make it as simple as possible and easy to everybody, so it has some mechanics, and once you get used to that, it's easier. But it doesn't give you, for instance, if you compare with advanced skeleton that have the facial, and you have this
Mhm.
process that you go one after the other, so it gives you a really nice results for certain projects. And some people ask me, why you don't have like that? Well, look, it's we have different objectives here. Like,
Sure.
why we don't have the template for facial is because for feature film, for games, it's completely different, the what we need and the qualities and everything. And even each project with each animation director wants different designs. So I don't have I mean, I have kind of standard kind of things, but it readjusts based on the project. And basically this is part of services. So, but because the mGear is my tool, so I don't put like this research there or this time there. So for
Sure.
certain things like this, maybe if you want to do certain characters or like one-off or things like that, it's probably better use advanced skeleton or any other rigging system that offers that kind of functionality. But the goal for me with enGear and Shifter is what happens when you have a project that's going for a year or even not a year, but maybe a few months, or you have to do hundreds of characters, support these characters for maybe a TV series with several seasons that you want to keep updating the characters without redoing the work over and over.
Right.
What happened with this iteration maintainability long term? So it's a scale. So I always think like you should have the basic tools to do like your short film, your little thing, but in many projects you don't have the final characters even after the animation started. The character is
Right.
still in flux. So there's where the strong like shines on what the approach is on enGear. Well, less is what I try to do. So each tool has its own pros and cons, and yeah, just
That's a great way to look at it. That's kind of how I think about it too. It's like I use advanced skeleton too for sure. I really don't use the face rigger that's on there because it just kind of it's like here's our face rig and this is what you get, and it's I don't find it's useful
but it's
very
great.
much for it's
Well,
cool.
some people do fantastic stuff with that, and it I think it for certain productions, certain things, it's a fantastic option. I mean,
Sure, it's very
yeah,
fast. It's quick to kind of get out the gate. But like you
exactly.
said, if you had to iterate, if you had to ingest a lot of model changes or make rig updates, or like you said, make rig up like change the leg rig for all your 20 characters or something like this, it's hard to do it with a system like that. But yeah,
That's
yeah, it's more of a production pipeline tool, I feel like.
this is at least what I try to aim for. But obviously, it's important to have this easy access or easy step for everybody. But yeah, I'm yeah, the facial thing. I know it's something that it's not like just click, 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 and you have it nice and easy. But yeah,
It's strange how like biped rigging has kind of gotten boiled down a little bit. Like it's pretty, there's a lot of standard features in biped rigs that you see across many different systems. With face rigs, it's kind of like any, every studio has a very different face rig. There's some, like the MetaHuman, let's say, face rig is kind of a lot of people kind of aim for something like that. But outside of that, there's all these differences across studios or productions that even productions within a studio that have different face rigs and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I have like like projects where was one animation director, and for like long projects that the animation direction change and comes another animation director, the requests sometimes are opposite or different of what one animation team or director will consider as the gold standard, the other doesn't like it, and
sure.
the way around. So and that's in the same project I'm talking.
Yeah.
Imagine from studio to studio, or
Yeah.
So yeah, it's also like in the same studio, different projects with different like designs, these different kind of looks will need different solutions for that.
Yep.
And as you said, like body standardized quotes there, because we have many. I mean, it's the what the library that comes open source, but then I have like several libraries, like my personal for like in general for my clients, but then specialized for each client things. And I never counted, but probably we have 2 or 3 times more components than the ones that are public, and we have
That's
a lot of
crazy.
public, and with different designs, slightly different changes. I mean, spine, but change a lot there.
Yeah, a lot of times, like you
some
said, an animation director
little
says, "I want the spine controls to hit these shapes, or
yes,
with this amount of control input." So it's like you have to, yeah,
yeah,
provide
yeah,
a custom
exactly,
solution.
exactly, and it happened to me like a few times. Like, oh, I work with this animation director. It's amazing, super good one. I got like it because my rigs are good as the animation director or the animation people is giving feedback and pushing that. So that's all teamwork. But let's say when I do this in one project, and I have this template, and it's like, wow, this is wow, gonna this is my then we start another project uh, with different people, like, and well, I did this in the past and I have this look, this is, I think, and he goes, no. And
Not
we
gonna
have
work.
another like few months of iterations and
Uh-huh.
improvements, and he ended up like some common ground, but some are, and yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's also really cool, really fun to do it. Like I would be very bored if it's always the same over and over.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
like
for
this is
sure.
my system, and just stamp it. Uh, that's, I don't know,
Yeah, I think that's what's
fun.
cool about rigging in general is you get to do, I mean, you get to do some asset work, then you get to do some development work, you get to, come up with unique
Mm.
solutions to something. I think that's why we love what we do, because it is that kind of those combined skill sets that are a lot of fun for people with
Yeah.
that kind of more of like an engineering, but also like a brain that likes to create like artistic things or you know I
Yeah.
don't even know what I'm saying right now, but
No, no,
you
no.
get what I mean.
I think you. I mean, it's. I feel. I feel like what you're trying to express. Like, I like this discipline because it's a halfway between tech and art.
Hmm.
Like a full artist will be a modeler or animator, where it's, and full tech will be someone that it's only coding, say. So rigging, it's in this half bridge thing, and that's the funny
Yeah,
part because um, for me it will be difficult to choose one. And I know some people, riggers, they especially riggers, they start rigging, learn how to code, then pipeline, and they're
they just go
working on
full.
a,
Yeah,
yeah, on not not even animation or game or anything
like
related,
Google,
like,
they're off
yeah,
at Google
or
doing some data mining
yeah,
or something, right?
yeah, really, like, exactly. Something that it's not even related, and it's technology only, and they're doing great, they're super happy. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but yeah,
Sure.
I resist to go that path.
Yeah, it's funny. I know there's some, like even in some tool sets. Have you ever seen I think it's called the BSV, like a shape managing system. It's almost like Brave Rabbit shapes, but it's more like plugin based, and
Yeah, I
it was for like,
use his brush that it's free. He has BSD, the brush, because it when you do uh, it's blend shape smoothing for combination, it smooths the deltas based on so reference mesh.
oh, that's
So
cool.
for
So it could
instance, if
slide
you have
it, like,
density, yeah, for instance, if you have topology with a density more dense on the lips than on the cheeks, when
sure,
you use your smooth brush, it will, or your relax, it's gonna evenly distribute everything, but
right,
that's not good. You want to keep the relation between the, or the this, let's say, the space relation between the different span length.
hmm,
So he has this free. We used to have. I downloaded a long time ago, and I don't check it, but it's a little script tool that you fit the rest pose geometry, and you can smooth the target base, or relax the target based on that previous.
the reference mesh.
So it
That's really
doesn't.
cool.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. I mean, the because it's like the brushing, but I don't know any other. I think the they try to put something like the smooth deltas on Maya. It's not exactly, unless I don't get the same results.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you could just get stuff spreading apart, and then like when you fire a shape, you get like stuff moving in the wrong direction or things like
Yeah,
that.
or like when you do like facial, like you have imagine my mustache here. It's in some positions it's thinner, in some position, or it
Yeah,
gets deformed in a way that it's consistent. I mean, if it's stretch all like consistent, and this also consistent when you relax. But maybe you have one that pinch more than the other, and um, yeah, so it's yeah, kind of a detail, but yeah, it's very important.
that's cool. You mentioned the AI word a little while ago. You're just kind of saying it in passing. Do you ever consider using any kind of or researching any kind of like machine learning or any sort of AI tech and to use within character rigging?
I did um, for machine learning, not like now this the AI kind of thing, but just a few years ago was more like machine learning kind of uh,
Sure.
like what Cascador does, helping the pose and things like that. So I was checking a little bit on that, but not too much. To be honest, I don't know right now if it's worth that. I think it's for me more like to giving control, direct control. It's important. And what I'm interested right now and researching, it's on the uh, for Bifrost with rigging, and also with control rig to more animation proceduralism. So like for instance, like to create automatizations like car suspensions, contact things
Yeah.
like for instance, like uh, if you have a spider or a robot or things like that. So how you can rig procedural and animate procedurally these kind of things. That's for me, it's the point of interest right now, but it's not obviously it's not anything related with AI,
Right.
motion retargeting, things like that. That's but not really like machine learning or AI. Not no.
Yeah, there's this. Didn't you have a guy on your show? I didn't get the chance to listen to it. I think there was like a Scorpion rig or something, and maybe an Unreal. Was that
Yeah,
was that on
uh,
your show?
yeah. That it's. I think it was the podcast with Helge, but the demo of the Scorpion was done by another guy that works at Epic, I think. But yeah. Dex, things like that. Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. There's actually a course. It might be the same guy on Udemy about learning control rig, but his example is creating like a Scorpion rig that like walks across like
Oh, yeah.
terrain just automatically.
I do have that one. I didn't didn't watch it yet, but
Yeah,
I was like, let me. Oh, I'm gonna get this. It
yeah.
was
It's
an
like
offer. So
$12 or something, and then you're
I
like,
got
fine,
all
I'm
this.
gonna.
I need to go over, but yeah, this kind of things is what I would like to introduce on mGear, um, on ueGear also. Like so, you have it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is really cool. It's cool that people share that kind of knowledge and put it out there. They don't just kind of try to hoard it, like, oh, this is my secret
Yeah,
to my success or something.
I don't think it's unless I mean maybe someone will consider there's a secret sauce or anything, but I
Yeah.
don't think it is. Um, unless from my side, I share all I have and never have been a problem. I think like because each individual it has its own experience and it's not like this thing, but you need. I mean, even sharing and having two people with the same knowledge because they work it together, but maybe the approaches, those solutions that each one have with the same knowledge is different, and maybe one with the same knowledge will solve these problems and other with same knowledge will solve these other problems. So it's not about secrets. I mean, it's about processing the information. Or
That's really cool. That's a great way to look at it. Ah, man. So, Miquel, it's been an hour almost. I
already?
appreciate,
Oh
yeah.
my,
I love
that was fast. I can keep talking about. Yeah,
No, it's great. We'll have to definitely do
thank
it
you.
again. And if you fire back up your rigging buddy show, man, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
I need to, but yeah, first mGear, ueGear release, then
Yeah,
the fun.
yeah, for sure. No, it's cool. I just started this maybe like 2 months ago or so, and it's a cool way just to meet people. Like I would never have,
Yeah,
been able to talk to you or just, have a conversation, but that's really cool to do.
yeah, I did it for the same reason, um, like working from home,
Yeah.
and yeah, good excuse to catch up with friends, make new ones, and geek around about topics that it's not easy to geek with your neighbor.
No, for sure. Yeah, they'll just be like, I'm going back inside,
Yeah,
weirdo.
exactly.
That's funny, man. Cool. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
It's been
for
great talking with
inviting
you.
me.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank you.